Welcome to Tim Talks on Disciple Making. These are a series of short, poignant conversations and discussion starters to perhaps challenge the status quo as seen in the local church today, and also in the lives of believers who really aren't bearing much fruit when it comes to making disciples that make disciples in obedience to Jesus' command to go and make disciples of all nations. If I had told you today that I believe that disciple making is actually a lost cause, how would you receive those words? Well, you can make one of two responses. Either it's a lost cause in terms of there's no way we can ever really complete the Great Commission. It's a lost cause in terms of we've just failed at this, and the world has changed so drastically with various world religions, cultural secularism and pluralism. The church is doing well just to maintain its own. In fact, 85% of churches in the Canadian context are either plateaued in attendance or in decline. So to say that disciple making is a lost cause really is reflective on the inability of the church today to go into the world and make disciples that make disciples. However, I want to invite you to consider that term disciple making as a lost cause in a different light, a very positive light. In fact, it's a lost cause, the call and cause that Christ has given to us. 40 years ago, the Kellogg's cereal company had a terrible dilemma. You see, their all-time best-selling cereal, Corn Flakes, the sales were plummeting. They called in a marketing specialist to find out why. Apparently, it seemed that people liked the Snap, Crackle, Pop and the sugar-coated cereal that was on the shelves beside Corn Flakes. So they decided that they needed to market Corn Flakes differently, because after examination of this product, they were still really, really good. So in the 1992 Super Bowl, a commercial was aired showing a man eating a bowl of Kellogg's Corn Flakes. He seemed to be enjoying them, and then he looked into the camera and said this: "Kellogg's Corn Flakes, taste them again for the very first time." Well, that advertisement seemed to work, because after that, not only did sales skyrocket, but if you go into your local grocery store today, you'll still see Kellogg's Corn Flakes in a very prominent place in the cereal aisle. When it comes to disciple making, when Jesus stood on that Galilean mountainside shortly before his ascension and looked into the eyes of his disciples, he gave them a commission that would not only change the world, but also change those who claim to be Christ's followers. He said, "All authority on heaven and earth has been given to me. Therefore, go into all the world and make disciples, baptizing them and teaching them to obey everything that I've commanded. And I will be with you to the very end of the age." So we have a challenge. Tim Talks are designed to consider the challenge, because those early disciples, they were totally unfit for the task. If you looked at them, they were fearful. They had fled Jesus on the cross. They went into hiding. But Jesus, as he looked into their eyes, saw everything that he needed for him to accomplish his task through them. We have to realize that when it comes to disciple making, Jesus does not call the qualified, but he does qualify the called. And in these coming weeks of Tim Talks on disciple making, I want to invite you on a journey with me as I enter into the experience of finding other men that I'm going to work with to become disciple makers. That in a year from now, we're going to go and find other men to make disciples as well. Need some women to get involved in this as well. But I want to share with you this adventure that I'm on, based on God's challenging me in terms of my life and the fruitfulness of my legacy in terms of making disciples that make disciples. At the end of each Tim Talk, there'll be some coaching questions that are provided to allow you to consider this short message, and also to prepare your heart for the journey that I believe God wants to invite you on. In fact, he already has invited you. He's called you, and now he wants to qualify you for the task. So thanks for joining us on this Tim Talk on disciple making. Now, here are some disciple making questions for you to consider and digest based on this Tim Talk on disciple making.